Hey, um, I just want to thank you for clicking on my channel. But first of all, I want to thank my man Tuna Cheki for putting me on, and I think that's the in my life, this is the second Pan-Africanism or Pan-Africanistic um, experience that I've had, where we help each other, and it doesn't matter which part of Africa you're from. So thank you. If you're new to my channel, I just want to say thank you very much. I appreciate you, and please continue watching my videos. Um, um, you know, I have so many things I want to talk about, and everything is going to be on this video. But also, it's not just going to be talking. We're going to be doing. As soon as this pandemic is over, you're going to see some activities that we're going to be working on in Africa in the future. But it would be good for people that are subscribing to, leave that the bell on, because every time I post my video, so that, I sort of reminds you or notifies you that the video is on. And because I want us to be on the same page as we go from the beginning to when we start putting our words into action. So thanks to Tuna Cheki. Please, if you're new to this channel and you don't know Tuna Cheki, please, it's a two, the number 2, NACHEKI. Please go subscribe to his channel. This guy's got everything. He's on top of everything that's happening in Africa. Great videos, and I just want everyone to go and sign up to his channel. And those who are coming, who've seen me on his channel and have come to my channel, I just want to say I appreciate what you've done, and we have to support each other. We gotta support each other. All right. In this video today, there's just something that's really troubling that I want to discuss, that I want to talk about. I was watching a movie, Fast and Furious 5, the one where they're in Brazil. And in the movie, there's this drug lord, the kingpin, talking to wannabe partners. And obviously, from the sound of it, looks like they also have a drug chain that they control and all that. And this kingpin goes up to them. She's like, he's like, you guys are too violent. I don't like violence. I don't like violence. I like doing things the way I do them. And he goes on to tell this story. Like, when the Spanish got here, they started killing. They were violent with the locals. So the locals realized what these guys were up to. The locals also became violent, and they killed all the Spanish. All the Spanish conquistadors. But when the Portuguese landed, the Portuguese were not trying to take over land and kill everyone. That's not what they were trying to do. The Portuguese were smart. When they landed there, they started trading with the locals. So they'll give them stuff like gifts and these pottery. They'll give them things like, jewelry and all those things. And they'll trade with them, And then when the locals didn't have anything to give them, the Spanish would tell the locals to work for them, for those goods, And the locals, that's what they started doing. So they work for the Spanish for the goods. And guess what happened? Today, Brazil speaks, they work for the Portuguese, sorry. So they work for the Portuguese for them to get the jewelry and these gifts and all the little things that you are giving them. And guess what? In the end, Brazil speaks Portuguese. And Brazil is run by Europeans. There's blacks and whatever, but mainly Brazil is a European sort of country. Latina, whatever you want to call them. The reality is they are mainly Portuguese. So Portugal won, and they won in that, and they won a colony. And up to now, Brazil is part of Portugal. That's why they speak Portuguese. I bring up this point because I've seen something similar brewing in Africa. And this time, it's not the conquistadors or conquistadors, whatever they call them. It's not those. It's not the Spanish. It's not the Portuguese. It's not the English. It's the Chinese. They're doing similar things. They are coming in there. They are coming into Africa with the idea that they're going to develop Africa. So they come in there and they say, we're going to build you an airport. Because Africans believe they can't do it. So Africans believe they can't build an airport. First of all, they believe they don't have the skills. They don't have the money. That's what they believe. That's in our head. The reality is, what we don't realize is that we have the richest continent on the planet. If we could discover all the cobalt, the gold, the diamond, the oil, everything in Africa, if you want to find out how much an African is worth, we're going to find out. Almost every African, of the 1 point something billion Africans, everyone is probably worth $1 billion. We just don't realize that. So we think we don't have money, and the Chinese are coming in to help us, to rescue us. They're gonna build an airport for us. They'll give us they'll build us a rail line and all those things. And when they come in there, the Africans work for them. They work for them and they get peanuts. Once they get these peanuts, the Chinese make a lot of money. They make billions of dollars in profit because they are overcharging the projects are carrying such a ballooned value to it. And the reason why they are doing that and they're able to get away with this, just remember this, it's because we believe we can do it. We believe we can do it. That's why they're able to do this. It's not just with these projects. If you go to Zambia right now, there's a huge population of Chinese. Huge population of Chinese. They're not just, back in the day, when I was in Zambia, you could have like your neighbor is doing chicken farm. They wouldn't do it at a commercial level because the banks in Zambia, like in most African countries, they work against their own people. They don't want you to succeed. How are you going to give someone a loan and a business loan and expect them to pay 30% interest on it? A year. Some of it are even like every month. I've heard some banks in Africa that charge about 30% every month. And when you get it today, at the end of this month, and they want their money back, they don't even give you like a grace period. Instead of saying, 6 months interest free, it doesn't work like that. So the banks in Africa work against their own people. And the reason why they do this, most banks in Africa are not owned by Africans. And the ones that are owned by Africans were taught banking by people and the curriculum that's not African based. So you can say, oh, no, but this bank is government bank. And this bank is a Kenyan or a Ghanaian or a Nigerian or a Zambian owns it. The reality, where did that person get their education from? So, and also it goes back to that the previous video I made where I talked about colonization. We have that colonized mindset. So we are trying to replicate everything that people that colonized us did. So remember, the colonizer's job was not to make you succeed. It was to give you oppressed, to sort of give you an oppressed state, so you were not able to challenge them. So you were always begging them. So that's how these banks in Africa are set up. Whether they're most of them. If you're an English colony, you're going to have banks such as Barclays, Standard Chartered, or these guys are not coming to Africa to help you develop. They're all political. Believe me, someone can challenge me on this, but I'll bet you they're all political. They have a political mission. The political mission is not there to support you. They already think you're just going to steal the money. They already think you're good for nothing. So do you think they're going to lend you money and and think, and think highly of you. Nah, that's why they charge interest so high, because they wanna get their money real quick. There's no trust. There's no trust in us. So those banks don't represent the people. So that's why you find a lot of people do small businesses. But in Africa, the so-called small businesses, they are not there to, it's not one of those businesses where, I start a business, I employ 10 people. Nah, it's I start a business so I can feed. That's it. So back in the day, we have our neighbors. Some of them were like chicken rearing, so they might have 100, 200 chickens at the end of the month, which they sell and use that money to pay off their kids' school fees and live off. But the Chinese have come in. In Zambia, the Chinese are chicken farming. Something the Zambians themselves can do. In Chinese, in Zambia, the Chinese are having kiosks. The same thing that Zambians was helping Zambians make some income and live off. And secondly, the Chinese are having all these businesses that the Africans used to do. And because remember, the African mindset, we believe we are not good enough. And the moment anyone lighter than our skin shows up, we give them respect. So most Africans aren't even buying from their African friends. They'll go and buy from a Chinese because they think the Chinese chicken would taste better for some reason. Just because the Chinese guy is lighter skinned. If the Chinese goes to like ShopRite or all these other stores in Africa to say, I'm going to supply you with chicken. A white person or a Chinese, these shops will give them the contract straight away. But if you are black, if you are a local Zambian, local Nigerian, local, I think in West Africa, I think the guys there do a lot better. But in Southern and East Africa, if you are local anything, you're going to struggle to actually get a contract with companies such as, with shops such as ShopRite. They're not even going to listen to you, But the Chinese can go there and instead of having 200 or 100 chickens, they can afford to have thousands of chickens. You know what? Because if you look at it, in almost every country where there's a pretty good number of Chinese, there's Bank of China. In every country in Africa, Bank of China. To make money, you need money. It's something the Chinese understand. To make money, you need money. Right? I could be an educated person right now, civil engineer. I got a master's or a PhD in civil engineering, and I add to that business. If I go right now to a Zambian Zambian-owned government, to go to them and say, you know what, I got these things, these road contracts here that you are giving, I don't have any money. But if you can give me the money, I'm going to buy the equipment. I'm going to get a loan from a bank that's going to give me the equipment, and I'm going to set everything up, and we're going to start building these roads. We're going to build reliable roads. The government won't even listen to you, because the Chinese guy is going to show up, and the China has already got equipment, because it's gone to Bank of China, and they've given them this money, to buy all the equipment. So the guy with the equipment is going to get the contracts. The guy with no equipment is not going to get the contracts. The difference between the two, the guy with no equipment is a local guy who the people in government don't want to make money. Because they'd rather give it to a Chinese because then they're going to get a cut. They'll go to a Chinese who's already got equipment, supported by his government, and they'll get a cut. So they'll go there, this is going to cost, let's say, $2 million to build. And then the politicians will say, make it 4 million and give me 1.5. You take 2.5. How about that? He's not going to say no. He's Chinese. He's in Africa to make money. He's not in Africa to make friends. Not interested in that. He's in Africa to make money so he can build a nice house in China and do all these things in China. It's not in Africa to help the Africans. So stop thinking like that. And I know what I'm talking about. Because recently, I called Bank of China in Zambia. And I said to them, I want to open up account. I didn't even say I wanted to get a loan. I said, I want to open up a bank account. Guess what happened? Sir? No, there are other banks here that you can go with. Here, we only do Chinese. That was the answer. And this is Bank of China in Zambia. So they're not going to give you a loan, but they'll give it to the Chinese. And the guys with money are likely to prosper. Right now, a China guy can go and buy land in Zambia. We are just giving out these things. We are giving out land. We are giving out everything. So you can go there and get these hundreds, if not thousands of acres of land for nothing, and go to his bank, buy the equipment, start farming, and start selling it to Zambians. Remember what I said. What happened with the locals in South America. The Portuguese, which is Brazil. What did they do? They make something and the locals would work for it. So when this guy gets land for free, gets all the equipment, he has the locals working for it. And because in Zambia we've associated jobs with development, even if you're getting paid peanuts. So, we are developing. Look at all this development. Oh, okay. You are developing by selling your land. What? That's not development. That's being dumb. That is not development. You've just given out your land for free. And then 50 years from now, when we wake up from our slumber, we'll start saying, oh, they've taken our land. Nah, you gave them the land. You gave them the land because you didn't realize how important land is. And the Chinaman knew how important land is. And now he's making 100 times what you are making. Which means he has influence. He can influence the politicians. He can influence the decisions that are made and everything. And slowly, you might have a black president, but economically, you're going to have a Chinese-run economy. Look what has happened in South Africa. South Africa, economically, the most divided country on earth. 10% of the population controls the economy. 10% of the population controls the economy. This has to stop. Africans, this has to stop. Remember the story I told you about the Portuguese in South America? They didn't go there to fight. China doesn't have to come out with all these jets and whatever and surround Africa. They don't have to do it. All they need to do is come out there in a friendly way. And before we know it, all of us will be speaking Cantonese. It will be shisha, whatever crap is. That's what we'll be speaking. They're going to take over. Economically, they're going to squeeze us. By the time we wake up, with white people, we used to say, we woke up and we had Bibles in our hand and they've taken the land. Now, this time we're going to wake up, we are slaves to them and they've taken their land. And they're going to pay you peanuts. And the Chinese, because there's so many of them, there's 1.4 billion people. China can easily have, in Zambia, the population is 18 million or 17 million people. They can easily send 20 million people. In their country, they won't even feel the difference. But in Zambia, they'll become the majority. If they only send 20 million people, they become the majority. You are in trouble. You are in trouble. Everywhere you go, people, the little ladies, old ladies on the side of the road that used to were like stone masons, not masons in the way, but they'll break up these bricks into either small, these stones into smaller sizes, which people will go and buy and use that for to build houses and other things. These were old ladies. I was there just last in 2018, and I saw all these ladies on the side of the road. Not men, women, by the way, women breaking their backs, breaking these stones. Not men. I was so disappointed there, but this is not that's not the part of this topic. It was women, and I heard in some parts of Zambia now the Chinese, because they're able to get these women couldn't get loans from Zambian banks. They couldn't get loans from Zambian banks. And I think it's the same across Africa. There is no way a small business person in Africa will be able to get loans from a bank in Africa. They won't even look at them. They won't. So a Chinaman has come in, gets loan from the Bank of China, goes and buys equipment. Now he's crushing more stones and Africans, because now it's using machinery to crush stones, we think that's better. So we bypass the local people and then we go and buy from a Chinaman. We just make these people so rich. And because for them, when they get a loan from Bank of China, their interest is 1%. 1% interest. And some of them get given 24 months interest free. The government is helping them do this because the agenda is to take over the economies of Africa. If they can take over the economies of Africa, they will get free minerals. Free minerals, pretty much, going straight to China. While you guys were in poverty. But this time, it's your own making. It's your own, 100% your own making. When you go back in history, I realize that at many points in our history, in the last, let's say, 400 or 500 years, we have ourselves to blame in a lot of things that has happened to us, because we never took the time to study the enemy. I can go back. Before slavery even started, African kings were giving their own people to some of these merchants. Because we didn't understand. In our view, it was about showing, it was about bragging. It's not like we were giving out these people to these merchants, thinking they're gonna be enslaved and they're gonna have such miserable lives. That wasn't our thinking, and we have to blame ourselves for that. Our thinking was we are bragging about how powerful these kings were. I can give you these people and I can give you that people. But when these merchants realized what was happening, and when there was work to be done in America, then they already knew they could get free people from Africa. So they went there and started grabbing these people. Some of them were just stolen. They were not slaves. They were enslaved people. Let's remember that. But we have to take blame for that. The African leaders, the African kings at that time, did not spend time to study the enemy. When they woke up, maybe 100 or so, 200 years later, they were powerless. There was nothing to do. If they said no, slave trade was big business. These guys, the merchants, will come in with weapons and destroy all these kingdoms and take these people hostage. Because when they had an opportunity to study the enemy, they never did. They never ever did. So right now, the history is about to repeat itself. Our leaders have not spent the time to study the enemy. They haven't. They haven't spent the time to study the enemy. That's why we're just giving. In Africa, we just give. A few years ago, Madagascar gave land to South Korean government. They gave them land for free. I just want that to sink in first. They gave them land for free to grow maize. Because South Korea has no land, just like many places in Asia. They don't have land. So they realized the importance of land. And when they went to Madagascar, they didn't go there to get free land. They wanted to make a deal. But they were surprised. It even surprised them that they got free land. But that's how we do it in Africa. We just give. Recently in Ghana, a white guy goes to this village. Innocent guy, he didn't go there he wanted to do business with him. So why don't we have a contract? Because what I want to do, I want to grow things here and I'm going to be selling them in England. I want you to be partners. These African kings, don't worry, white man. Take the land. This guy today is making $250 million in profit. From Ghana. From Ghana, he grows things. He sells them in big shops in the UK. Imagine if they had a trade. We keep the land. We own 50% of the profits. That whole village could have been transformed. The whole village could have been transformed. But no, that's not the case. Because we are giving out. We just give out. That has to stop. This is what I'm going to challenge every African in the diaspora. Make sure your people in Africa, you get them a cell phone. Get them a cell phone where they're able to watch YouTube instead of just sending them money, because the information these African YouTube channels or some of them in the diaspora are giving out, it's more important than the money. It's more important. It has more value, to their lives and as an impact on them that's going to change how they view the world, which is going to benefit them in the future. It's a lot better than them just receiving that money so that they can live off. They can go and buy the food. Let's encourage our brothers and sisters, even in the villages this time, where they can have access to the internet and be able to watch these videos. Because we know the television they watch there they're all government run. There's no proper information. There's so many people with valuable information. One of the ladies I want to talk about is this African-American woman in the Gambia called Art Kathy. A-R-T Kathy, C-A-T-H-Y. Look out her videos. Some Africans get angry with her, but I understand where she's coming from. I don't even call her African American. She's an African. If that lady was to be somewhere at the market in Zambia or Botswana or even Ghana, you wouldn't even tell the difference. This African American crap has to stop. They're Africans. So she's moved to the Gambia, and she's telling it as it is. And sometimes we need to listen to people that are honest. She got rebuked by one of the videos she made. But they completely misunderstood about, because that's Africans. We don't try to think deep. We leave it superficially. Because thinking deep is scary. But we need to start thinking deep. If we don't do it, we are doing it at our own peril. I just wanted to make this video. It's kind of upsetting to me what's happening in Africa. But I tell you, the Chinese that are there, they're not wearing army uniforms. They are called the silent army. And the Chinese government know exactly what they are doing. They've spent years studying white colonization. They've spent years studying black people. We haven't. I'm going to continue this video. There's going to be a part 2 to this. Please stay tuned. And thanks for clicking.